Okay, what about now? No shouting? Okay, what about now? Yay! No shouting? Okay, what about now? Yay!
Warp drive active. Docking request accepted.
Hi, hello.
Hello?
So I have a question.
Yes, what's the question?
How profitable is T3 production and how this do you need to
I'll go
give
about
it?
this in a moment, but not yet.
Right.
Okay, hey everyone, also on stream. It's around 1700 now, 1800 now. We will start like in 1 or 2 minutes, so have a bit of time. I will wait until the rest is here, and then we'll see. I'll go over the T3 production in like, I'd say, in like half an hour or something. I will be reaching there at some point, because I'm on Singularity.
No rush.
For everyone who is wondering why I'm still in 7RM, this is because I'm on the test servers and all the infrastructure we have in Geminate is not set up in Geminate yet on CC because CC didn't synchronize yet. The problem is that I was going to do this on Tranquility, but Tranquility is extremely unstable at the moment, and I'm not gonna go in there for now because there's no point. If I start the class here and then like every 10 minutes Tranquility goes down back again, I don't want this. And I think actually I'm not even in. Oh no, I'm not even in Geminate right now with my with my main industry char. This is actually not my main industry char, but whatever. So I gotta go to my topics, and I will go. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know how many people I have here. I have like 27 in stream. I don't know how many I have in comms right now. I can't count that because I can't bring it up right now. Oh, that's actually 1, 2, 3, 4.
You have 14 including you.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool number.
Where's your stream?
Give me a second. I'll just link it. There you go. It's in MBI Classroom 1. Also, make sure to jump into the stream so I can link you stuff without linking it in Mumble, because, you know, linking Mumble is always a thing you really fast oversee and overlook it. So I'll just link it in stream so you can check it out there. Okay, so foregoing about the industry in general, there are first a few things that you have to understand and accept. The first thing with industry is doing industry requires a certain amount of money, and doing industry for making a lot of money, you require a lot of money. The main part of industry, with that being producing stuff from T1 materials, so from minerals into completed chips. But the problem with having minerals is that minerals are a dig to haul, and especially if you're living in nullsec, you know you don't want to haul minerals in from Jita because they are like, I don't know, for example, if I wanted to build a freighter, it would take me like a bit more than a freighter load of minerals just to build this freighter. And if I wanted to ship that down from Jita, even if I shipped it myself, I would pay like 190 or 200 million ISK in fuel just for bringing the stuff from Jita to Horde space to Geminate. And that's actually a pretty short way compared to some other people who live like down south or down west or whatever. So what you're gonna do or gonna wanna do is you wanna buy ore. You wanna buy compressed ore from Jita, or you wanna buy compressed ore in local markets, and you want to refine this. So there we go to the next problem. I just bring up a little character sheet. Yes, I know. If you go to your resource processing tab, I think it's there. No, it's not there. Is it in... Give me a second, I'll have to find it out. Oh, it says only have prerequisites for. There we go. On this chart, for example, I don't have my reprocessing skills skilled up far. When I'm going to my reprocessing chart, most of these will show as level 5, because I have nearly maxed out refining, which allows me to like create or get massive amounts of minerals out of the ore. For example, if I wanted to reprocess, let's say 100 million ISK worth ore, I would probably get out like 110 or 120 million ISK worth minerals. That's basically what I get out of there. So the problem with this is, if you do not have these skills maxed out or to 4 at least, you will lose a lot of money reprocessing stuff. So what you want to do is basically giving it to people like Ken George Beck, like Queen Gaia, Alexander McKern, Sajiki Shambucket, myself, or I think that's pretty much most of the people with perfect reprocessing. I think I'm missing one or two, but I don't know who is it as well. But one of those people, you can basically contract them the ore at the collateral at what you paid for them, and they will contract it back for the price you gave them plus 1%, reprocessed with everything, which is 1% can be a lot of money if you're reprocessing like 3, 4, 5 billion ISK worth minerals. But on the other hand, if you have the skills only to 4, you will already lose 2%. So you get the point. You will not make that much if you reprocess yourself, at least you have perfect reprocessing. So for general, when you're reprocessing, you want to reprocess in a refinery. I'm not gonna hop over to the refinery in 7RAM. I think there we go. It's other refineries, and there we have a normal ore refining T2 rig. It's the same in Geminate. They are called the same in Geminate. They are just in other systems. So yeah. Refineries in general are structures. This, for example, this is the ethanol. The big one is the Tatara. You can add the refining rig, the reprocessing rig to any structure, but the ethanol and the Tatara, they give additional bonuses. So when we look at the structure bonuses, there we go. We have the roll bonus. Here we go. A 2% bonus to the refining yield of all ore and ice variants, which doesn't sound that much, but it's actually not bad. It's actually a good amount of money you save by doing that. 7RM, yes, because I'm on Singularity, and Singularity didn't synchronize yet, and I can't switch over to Tranquility at the moment because it's unstable as fuck. So I'm just gonna hop back. When you have your ores reprocessed in the refinery, you have to bring them over somehow. There are two ways of doing this. If you are doing it on a really small scale, for example, I'm just gonna go to the small ships stuff, because if you're starting out with industry, you will most likely be making like T1 modules and T1 ships. The most T1 modules actually don't give that good margins because they are mostly replaced by meta modules. But there are some T1 modules that will make you a good amount of money. I'll go over that in a bit. So there we go. I'm just docking up here. This one being, for the ones who don't know, this one being a Rhetor engineering complex. It's the smallest engineering complex that EVE has, which allows you to install extra rigs and gives you reduced material usage on everything you build. So for this, as soon as you have your minerals done and on your minerals reprocessed, rip my English, you're gonna want to have to haul them over somehow. So if you're doing big amounts of minerals, you want to have a freighter for it, because otherwise you will haul yourself to death. If you're having just small amounts of stuff, you can go with some other ships, or with one other ship especially. I'll just get the name, give me a second. If you go to the ships, there should be under the Galanti. Come on. I think is it the Cryos, or is it the other one? I'll just check that out. The Cryos is the there we go. The Cryos has a bonus to mineral hold capacity. The Cryos has a pretty big mineral hold, which allows you to haul minerals more efficient than with other haulers. Like for example, the Cryos has a 43,000 mineral hold capacity base. So you wanna think about, when you add like another 50% to that, you're at 60,000, nearly 70,000 cubic meters you can haul with this mineral wise. With a normal hauler, you can maximum cargo expanded go for like 40,000, I think. It's not that much. I think 40,000 is the max you can get out of a Tatara. That's pretty much it. So that's the one way. The other way is having a freighter or paying someone to freight it over. Normally it's not that expensive, I think. The normal rate I'm normally getting is like 10 to 20 million ISK per run, which is not that much if you think about that the freighters sometimes contain like 2-3 billion ISK worth minerals, so it's not too bad. Okay, getting to the actual production. So let's assume you have the minerals reprocessed from the ores. I will give you a spreadsheet in a while where you can like find out which ore you want to buy or you can buy. I made that spreadsheet a while ago and I made it available to Horde. I can link it in Twitch chat when we get a bit further into it. So yeah. Getting to the actual production by pressing Alt S or by clicking the little industry thingy here. You can call up this thing. Minerals, blueprints, they are currently located in other locations, which means they are somewhere in asset safety or in, I think it's actually impounded. Because my corp offices ran out. Possible? Lockdown? No? Impounded? No, I don't know where they are. I honestly don't know where they are. Asset safety? I don't know. Whatever. So, you have a lot of stuff. I have a lot of stuff here. I have a lot of blueprint copies. I got a lot of blueprint originals here. I will go over blueprint copies and blueprint originals in a moment. For now, if you want to build a ship or something, let's assume you want to build an apocalypse. So, we are gonna want to build an apocalypse. If you want to build an apocalypse, we can. GG, all this stuff is down. This is bullshit. Normally here would be a lot of facilities that would show like whether you can material research, time research, copy, or like manufacture there or invent there. They would all show up here, and if you go to them, you just click on one of them, you will get this little window and you will get the assumed or the exact mineral amounts you need for that. So for example, if you want to build an apocalypse, you will need a base of 9,547,801 titanium and a bit other stuff that you can look up here. This is being with the 1020 blueprint copy. I will go over the material and time efficiency values in a moment. So, just assuming this would all work and we had a running facility, we could just go and say start here. If you have the skills for running it, which is not a problem because all the T1 stuff for all the T1 ships, they only require Industry 1, which you have from the beginning of the game. You don't have to skill it at any point. If you have a really, really old char, you might have to skill it because they are missing some stuff, but whatever. So, if you have the skills skill requirements for it, you can just just click here, start, and it would start the job. So, for active jobs, for example, there we go. I have the corpse active jobs here right now. This is, for example, a capital drone bay I'm building in my wormhole right now because I want to try some stuff, but that's a different topic. So I'm building this capital drone bay, and it will show like something like this. It will show the blueprint original copy you're building from. It will show the facility. In this case, it just shows the name of the wormhole because I only have a pause there. It will show the name of the facility. It will show the amount of runs of job runs you installed. It will show the install date, and it will show when this thing will end. This is all Eve time. So if you didn't get yet, get used to Eve time because it will be used a lot. So if you have this, you see it's running. You don't want to stop this because if you stop this stuff, this means everything you put in except the blueprint will be lost, and I think even the blueprint runs from a blueprint copy will be lost. So you don't want to stop it unless you have a really solid reason for it. For example, if you like have a really cheap ship with a pretty expensive BPO or something, I can't think of one though right now, that you want to get out of a structure which is getting sold or which is getting taken down or something and it's still in build or whatever. If you have a really solid reason for it, you can do it. But normally you wouldn't want to cancel a job. So that much for T1 industry. Sorry. What you're gonna do when you have the T1 industry, you want to build like ships or T1 mods. If you want to build T1 mods, you should stick to like things like, I'm just thinking about what is being used much. I think the 220mm autocannons are used pretty much a lot. The general rigs that are used in the doctrines, they are used a lot. So they can make a good amount of money if you like invest right into them. You can hardly misinvest something. I like, for example, I had like a few. What was it? I think it was rocket fuel cache partitions I built, and they were like completely overpriced in Jita, and they were even more overpriced in Geminate. So I just built a bunch of them, and the moment that everything was done, they were already went back to normal on Jita, and they already went back to normal in Geminate, so I lost a good amount of money on that, but whatever. It's something like that happens. It's always an investment thing. It's always a bit of market speculation if you're doing bigger amounts, and especially like risky stuff, like instantly going for something you don't have a research blueprint original or copies for. It's always risky, so I wouldn't recommend it to new players who don't know how to mess with the market, but you know, it happens. So in general, if you have like a ship that you are producing, you can expect a profit margin somewhere between 5 and 10%, pretty much. That's normally the average profit margin of some stuff. On capitals you get a bit more, on sub-capitals you might get a bit less, especially on frigates and destroyers, because everyone can easily build them. But yeah, for the most part, if you're selling them on Horde space, and if you're selling something that is selling good, then you're fine. So, for many might have the question, what should I build now? So I will go to show you a trick real quick. You're going to go to Zkill. You're going to look for Pandemic Horde. For the Alliance. And then you're gonna check the recent losses. So give me a second. Get off my lawn. I don't want to have ads there. There we go. There we have the Alliance Pandemic Horde. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to the top ships, and there you see top ships. That's the ships we did the most kills with. That's Maledictions, Feroxes, Cormorants, Caracals. Okay, so what you're gonna do next is we're gonna go to not kills but losses. And if we go to top ships now, there should be top ships up showing up. They don't. Did I change that? I will have to look at that in a moment. Give me a moment. It seems Zkill has changed some stuff there. Okay, I'm gonna look in that. But what you can see from here is you can see which ships are used a lot. And especially if we are having strat ops. For example, this morning we had a strat op, we lost a lot of Tempests, we lost a lot of Macarials, and we lost a lot of Hurricanes. A few days ago we fed like a whole fleet of Hurricanes, which means Hurricanes were very, very short on contracts. So in that place, what you wanted to do would be instantly building more Hurricanes, seeding them on market. It proved very profitable actually. It could go wrong if you're too slow with it, but if you're really, really fast, you can make a lot of money out of that. So, yeah, you see, what we are using a lot as well are Cormorants, and Cormorants are a thing we are losing like flies, because those things are pretty cheap, and nobody cares about losing one, so we lose them a lot. Caracals, same goes for Caracals. We are losing a lot of Sabers, which means also Sabers are always good in the demand if you're building T2 stuff. Stabbers are always good as well. Slashers are a bit of a niche stuff because Horde hands them out, so I wouldn't really recommend doing that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's pretty much the top ships we are losing at the moment. Yeah, that much for this one. So, next thing, if you're going to produce something and you produce something, you want to look at the market. You want to look at the Jita market, and you want to look at the Horde market. So you want to look at the Horde market yourself, because the API is shit for having like access to the local markets and the citadel markets. But what you can do is you can go to Evepraisal or to Skyblood, whatever you like, and you can type in the stuff you're building. For example, let's say I'm building a bunch of ruptures. I'm going to Evepraisal. I'm just gonna go ahead and type rupture in there. I see it's 10.1 million sell, 9.4 million buy in Jita right now, which means I could probably sell it for like 10.2 million ISK in Horde space if I wanted to at a fair rate. I could also I could also go for a bit less profit and go for a really fair rate and sell it for like, I don't know, 9.8 million, 9.9 million, something like that. That would also be possible. You would still make a profit, but it would be smaller, the margin. So that's only a thing if you really want to support the corp without making too much profit yourself, but whatever. So if you're gonna seed stuff, you want to always check out the Jita price and the actual price on Horde market. Currently, for example, this morning the Hurricanes were going a bit down. So if you were building Hurricanes, you would have had to adjust the sell orders if you're selling them via market, but whatever. Stuff like that. It's market fuckery. I will go over market fuckery probably either later on the next class, because I don't know whether I have enough time today. I have like 2.5 hours left. So that's fine. Okay. Next thing I'm gonna go over is pretty much one of the most important things in the whole industry. It's copying and researching blueprints. Without copying and researching blueprints, ships would be much, much more expensive, to be honest. Probably like 15%, because it's 10% more input value and it's 20% more time requirements if you have them not researched. So if you go to your blueprints, you go to, that's the best example, I think. So what you can do is you can have a blueprint. For example, the slasher blueprint, you can go to material efficiency research, and you can run it up to 10 times, which means you can run up to 10 material efficiency jobs. This results in the fact that the slasher blueprint will no longer be 0% research, but it will be 10% research, which means it will require 10% less minerals to actually run this blueprint. For the time efficiency, pretty self-explanatory. If you're running it 10 times, it's got a time efficiency of 20%, which means you have 20% less time you need for actually building this. That might not kick in so hard with the slashers, for example, but just imagine you're building a capital. You're building a, for example, a Nidhogger. Let's say a Nidhogger. A Nidhogger in a Asbel that is time efficiency bonus takes like 7 or 8 days, something around that, something between that. If you have the blueprint research to like 14 or 16% time efficiency, you will go down to like 6.5 days in building. So that's around 1.5 day saving every time you build a Nidhogger, which is pretty much a lot if you're thinking about that every slot is basically paying for itself. So after you did all the research, you can copy the blueprint. There are 3 reasons why you want to copy. For example, I'm just gonna put this to max runs. For example, if you want to like run multiple blueprints at the same time, you need copies, because you can only use your blueprint once at a time. So if you're, for example, building 100 Feroxes, that would normally take like takes a third day, so it would take like 3 days to build all those 100 Feroxes. Or what you can do is you can have pre-copied Ferox blueprint copies, and you can just run 10 Ferox at the same time, and after 8 hours everything will be done. Which can be very, very profitable, because like when someone orders you to like build a bunch of stuff, you want to be able to build it fast. So if you have an order that is like 200 ships or something, and you have like 20 slots available, you will really, really want to have like a lot of blueprint copies for that stuff, because you can run every single slot, and otherwise you will have like eight empty slots while running 2 different ships, two different blueprint originals. The reason why you don't want to run blueprint originals for everything is pretty easy, because blueprint originals are really, really, really expensive sometimes. Like frigate BPOs are like 500,000 ISK, but if you are looking at capital component blueprint originals, you're looking at 1.1 billion ISK every component. Which means if you're building a Nidhogger, for example, you have like 12 components, I think, if I remember that correctly. And you have the Nidhogger blueprint original as well. So you have 13 times around 12 times around 1.1 billion in average. That's like something around 14 billion ISK just for the blueprint originals. And another time the Nidhogger blueprint itself, it's another 1.8 billion ISK or something if you have it decently researched. Also the value of blueprint originals, it raises into infinity if you're researching them. Which means if you have a blueprint original, for example, for a let's say for a capital drone bay, they are pretty much used a lot. If you're buying it, you will pay like 980 million or something, I think, on the GTA market. If you're selling them at 1020 or 1018, you're gonna get like 1.5 or 2 billion is something around that. I don't know what the current GTA price is, but something between that. So just to give you an imagination, time in this game is a lot of money if you're doing it right. So that much for researching. For copying, there's another reason why you want to copy stuff. There are 2 other reasons. First reason is if you want to give some blueprint runs to someone. If you want to give like 10 blueprint runs of Ferox blueprint, which is like 1.1 billion is researched, 1020 researched, to someone else, you don't want to give him your BPO. You want to give him a 10 run copy, which allows him to run this blueprint copy 10 times, and then the copy is gone. And there's a third reason, probably the most important reason if you're doing T2, because you can only get T2 blueprints by researching T1 blueprint copies. It needs to be a copy. The material and time efficiency value does not matter about it. So if you have like a 10 run 00 blueprint copy, it's the same for invention as if you have a 1020 and 10 run blueprint copy. So if you're doing that, you want to run your blueprints in invention. So that's the next time I'm gonna show you. I'm not gonna be able to show you, that's the thing, but whatever. If I want to go to an adaptive invol 1, for example, this is a blueprint copy. It shows me I can't material research, time research, or copy it because it's already a copy. You can't copy a copy, but you can invent it. So if you're gonna invent it, let me see whether I still have a slasher. No, I don't have a slasher blueprint copy. I need some blueprint copy of a ship I have. Give me a moment. I think I have an arbitrator copy. Yeah, there we go. So if you have a T2, a T1 blueprint, you want to research, you want to invent a T2 ship from that. You need data cores, which means you will need 1 ratio data core, or 1 set of ratio data cores. In this case, it's because it's a cruiser, you will need 8 data cores from Oramara, so Omarian Starship Engineering data cores. That's the ratio ones. Crest, just refresh the page, sometimes that works. Can someone else confirm that the stream is cutting out a bit? Just write in Twitch chat, I'll just continue so far. The second one you're gonna need is dependent on what you're gonna research. Okay, that looks like fine. Okay, then it's definitely you, Chris. Just refresh the page, sometimes it already helps. And you will need another engineering data core, which is sometimes a bit annoying to get, because data cores are always a thing that only drop from data sites in wormholes, or most from data sites in wormholes, or general from data sites, but whatever. So when you have those, you can add an optional decrypter. There are a lot of decrypters. There are a lot of different decrypters. They have different effects. For example, I'm just gonna go through two. The first one is the Accelerant Decrypter. It's probably the most used. It modifies the probability of the invention, so it gives you a higher chance to actually run that thing. At the same time, it modifies the runs of the blueprint copy that is outcoming of the thing here by a +1, and it gives you +2 material efficiency and +10 time efficiency. So a base blueprint, I'm just gonna select here. If you hover this field here, you can select which one you want. In this case, you can select between the curse and the pilgrim, because it's a arbitrator blueprint copy. So I'm just gonna say, okay, I wanna make a curse. So without the decrypter, I would get out a 1-run copy with material efficiency 2, time efficiency 4. So if I would add a accelerant decrypter, you see, I would have a 2-run for 14 blueprint copy with 31.2% probability. This probability is way higher on my research tool, because I have all those stuffed 4 or 5, like a Marine Starship Engineering 4 and the 5 and the rest 4. So I get like, I don't know, 50-60% possibility on that probability. So what you get out of this is a T2 blueprint. It will show you if in the jobs, if you deliver it, here will be a little thing for deliver as soon as it's done. You can click this deliver button and it will show you whether it succeeded or whether it didn't succeed. So the second one I'm gonna show you is the optimize attainment decrypter. This one is a decrypter for something you really want to work. For a for a run that has a low probability but a really high value. For example, some people use them for jump freighters, because the freighter BPCs you are running, they are pretty expensive and you don't want to miss it out. I think it's 256 data cores of each type you need for that. I'm just gonna check that. Let me see, I have a chart one here. It's actually 46. Okay, it's 46. So if I have a base chance of 18%. So if I go for the optimized attainment, I have a base chance of 34%, which is pretty much a lot better. There are different people. Like, for example, this one would be the one who says, okay, I'm gonna save on the research of the RIA. There are people who are gonna say, okay, I'm gonna save on the value of the stuff coming out, so they're gonna use parity decryptors. If I use a parity decrypter, there we go. That's the wrong one, sorry. If I use a process decrypter, I get 5 material efficiency. That might not sound much, but 5% material efficiency compared to 3% is 2%. But if you take into account that the jump freighter is worth like 11 billion ISK, you will have a roundabout difference of 220 million ISK just by having those 2%. So that's the thing, whether you want to go for like having the luck and getting a blueprint copy of the RIA pretty easily, or being really unlucky and getting a bullshit thing out of it and hope you don't lose money by doing it, but whatever. I think you get the point. Okay. So, next thing, after you invented a blueprint copy, you want to build this. Give me a second though. So, if you want to build a T2 ship, you can't just build it. I'm just gonna So one thing you should keep in mind, there are T2 ship BPOs in this game. They are extremely rare. They are not given out anymore. They were given out a long time ago, and they are going for something around 200 to 500 billion ISK each, because they are hilariously valuable. For example, if you had a 1020 Stiletto Blueprint Original, just imagining that, you would get a crap ton of ISK by selling stilettos at the same price as everyone else does. And you can control the whole market because you are building them for like 5 million less than everyone else does, and in half of the time. So they are there, they are not commonly used because, you know. So if we look at this T2 blueprint, normally it will be a copy. You can check those, and you will see there's a lot of stuff to be done. This means you're gonna need more feed, which is the only source for more feed being I forgot the name, the nullsec only ore that is deep comrite. I forgot its name. It's mercoxide. It's mercoxide. You get the more feed from. If you're reprocessing mercoxide, you can get the more feed, which is ultra valuable in big amounts, or whatever. Then you will need a bit PI stuff. Normally for ships it's construction blocks. Then you're gonna need the base ship, in this case a slasher. So you are gonna need one ship of the kind you are getting the blueprint copy from. So if you have like made a copy and researched out of that, you will still need one run of this copy to make the base ship for it. You will need a RM Starship tech that is a bit more for cruiser tech 2 BPOs or BPCs. Sorry, you will need like a bunch of starship techs or other techs there. And the main thing you're gonna need is a lot of this stuff. These are T2 components. They are just you can just buy the blueprint originals for the T2 components on the market in Jita or wherever, in every NPC station that is selling blueprints, and you can just ship them down. They have like they require pretty high skills to actually research them, but it only takes like 2 days to 10 to research them, so it's not that bad. If you don't have the skills, just pay someone for doing that. It's not that expensive. I think a set of those is going for, I'm not sure about the base price, but the set of those is going for a markup of like 20 to 50 million is depending on who is selling them. So it's not too bad. So these, if I'm just gonna show info, and I'm just gonna go to industry, and we're gonna go to the Electrolytic Capacitor unit. We're gonna throw it in here. This will require composites. Composites are the output materials of reactions. I will go over that in a bit. Those are the base materials for T2 ships. That's why the T2 ships are heavily dependent on how much moon mining is being done. That's the reason why the T2 ship prices went up into insanity, especially the jump freighter prices, after the changes of the moon mining in October. So that much for T2 industry. Any questions on T2 industry, because that's a pretty complex topic in general, so I don't want to miss someone there. If you have questions, just write them in chat or just ask them in comms now. Okay, looks good. So, where are we getting this stuff from? The nanoresistors or the Electrolytic Capacitor, for example. We are gonna do reactions. Reactions are things that are made in Athnos and Tatara, so in the refineries of Eve. And we have I think we have a T2 refinery that is still here. I think it was just sold. So we're gonna go to there we go, several more reactions, T2 rig, that's the one I'm looking for. That's the Tatara here. We have a Tatara in NQ Tech now. I will go over what we have in Horde in a moment, so I can give you a general overview of what we are gonna use for what stuff. So I just look up real quick and then we'll go over that. Okay, so if you're doing reactions, I don't think I have reaction. Oh, I have. That's good. I got reaction blueprints here. So those are the reaction formulas. Reaction formulas are formulas that are made for creating reactions. So in general, if you wanna run a reaction in a T2 Tatara, you're gonna run something like 123 runs or something in that direction. You're gonna need 2 moon materials as base input, and you're gonna need a lot of fuel blocks to make these reactions. From that you get composite materials. Basically the intermediate, the way between the intermediates and the way between the base and materials and the composite materials, so the intermediates. You're gonna put the intermediates. I think where do we have? There we have hypersynaptic fibers, for example. They are a composite. So you're gonna need 3 of the intermediates for doing that. Then you can run those and you can get those out of it. You generally don't want to react everything yourself, because reacting everything yourself is ultra stressy in my experience. I'm sometimes doing it when I'm building jump freighters, because it's just not really applicable of collecting all the stuff from the markets. Because if you're building a jump freighter, you are really fast in buying out JITA from some stuff, because they aren't produced that much and you're literally buying like half of JITA's stock of that, and after that it's getting ridiculously expensive. So you need to react a bit yourself, or you need to like buy from other people that are doing reactions in ridiculous amounts of slots. I think Kenjot is running like over 100 reaction slots or some shit like that. So yeah, that much for reactions. They can be extremely profitable. I can just link you a spreadsheet that Kenjot made for doing reactions. I will just link it in a second. It will need a bit fiddling to actually get in that, but yeah, there we go. That's the reaction sheet of Kenjot. You can look into that. It will need a bit fiddling of going around there and finding some way to actually do it. I'll just show you the base functions of it. Let's do it like that. So we have a changelog. I don't care about the changelog right now. So we have a configuration. You're gonna put in your reaction skill level, which is 5 for me because it takes a bit less time. You have 20, for example, 20 reaction slots. You're gonna build an NQ tag because that's our T2 Tatara right now. You're gonna do 7 day cycles, for example. Just imagine, just saying, I'm gonna ship the fuel from. I'm not gonna ship the fuel right now. I'm gonna buy the fuel from Kenjot, who is providing most of the fuel. Input output. I'm buying the inputs from Cell and I'm selling the outputs to Cell. So I'm going with a broker's fee of 2.5%. I'm going with a sales tag of 1.2%. That's fine. So when I'm picking the reactions, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna look on what is profitable, and what I'm not gonna do now. What you can do, what you should do as well, is doing some market research. For example, if you're going to like say you're gonna say I'm gonna build some terahertz metamaterials in 2 slots, and let's say you're gonna build a bit. What could we go with as well without losing ISK? Let's say we're gonna build in 2 instances Aphernite Kabit, and we're gonna build another one instead of nonlinear metamaterials. This would be one example of what you could do, but I wouldn't recommend doing it like that. You're gonna look at the market in JITA and you're gonna see what is going up and down, because the current values will be changing within the next 7 days. So something that might look very profitable right now might make you lose money next week. So reactions are a pretty risky thing to get into. Fiddle a bit around with this spreadsheet and JITA market if you want to get into that. But I think I'm not gonna go deeper into that because I don't know as much as some other people do about it. Also, there is drug manufacturing. Drug manufacturing does work like similar as the reactions in general. You need the blueprint copies from the sites in the low sec someone told me about. I didn't know that before actually. I never did drug manufacturing, and it's a thing you want to fiddle a bit around with. I think Ifuni has a good guide on that, but I'm not gonna go into that too deep. So, next thing. We have the reactions covered. So, there are actually other reactions. Not only the T2 reactions, there are also T3 reactions. So, if you're gonna look for something, I think my blueprint the blueprint copies I wanted to run are somewhere in asset safety. Because for some reason the writer root disappeared here on CC. But let's see. Let me see real quick. Don't have house sections anymore. So let me find out something. I'm gonna show the ancient relics. Okay, they don't have any ancient relics right now. That sucks. Because ancient relics are the base materials for researching T3. If you have ancient relics, you will generally want to go with the intact stuff. So I'm just gonna check the market here. For example, if we have a hull section, we're gonna go with the intact hull section, and we can throw this thing into invention. The only thing you can do with this is invention. So this will require 3 plasma physics cores and 3 mechanical engineering cores and a optional decryptor. I forgot which decryptor I used. I have to check that after the class. So the intact hull section, the normal intact hull section, gives you the choice of building either a Tango or a Proteus or a Loki or a Legion. So for example, I'm gonna say I want to build a Loki. In that case, I will get a 23 run blueprint copy for that with a pretty high chance actually. If you have the skills maxed out, I think you can go to 90% or something invention chance for those, which is actually great because it's nearly impossible to miss that thing. And those intact hull sections, they're really expensive. They go for like, I don't know, 100 million ISK each or something like that. So I know the small ones are going for like 65 million or something. So I guess the intact ones are going for a bit more. Oh, it's actually, wait a second, small intacts. Actually, the intact ones, they go for 16 mil. That's interesting, but whatever. So if you have a Loki now, you will quickly, a Loki blueprint copy, you will quickly go to a problem. Outcome is a Loki, that's fine. Required input materials are a bunch of stuff you don't know yet. Those are the outputs of T3 reactions, also called hybrid reactions. Those are special kind of reactions that require gases and a bit of ancient salvage instead of other stuff. So if I'm gonna throw in the Loki here, you will see you will need all this stuff. I'm just gonna show you what you need for this one, for example. You're gonna need a lot of salvage materials from wormholes, and you're gonna need reaction materials. So if you're gonna go to, I can't show it. It's basically, yeah, you can basically ignore it because the main part of that is getting gases out of wormholes. So that's required input materials. Now this is the T3C, so there must be something wrong with it. We're gonna check the skills, and it's Advanced Medium Ship Construction 5 and Miniature Starship Engineering, so the ratio is Starship Engineering 5. I also need Mechanical Engineering 4, which is pretty much a pain in the ass, but I don't care because most people have that if they are running T2 industry. But Miniature Starship Engineering 5 hurts, and the same goes for Advanced Medium Ship Construction. It's 27 days each, 22 days actually. So it's like 2 months skill time just for being able to build Lokis. So there are good margins on this. I can show you the margins in a second. So, for example, let's say we are building a Loki. I'm just gonna show you some stuff here. So that's are the main tools we are gonna use for this. So we are gonna say we are making a Loki, for example. So one Loki, we're gonna use a, let me see, what are we gonna use Decrypter wise? I think yeah, I think I'm actually gonna use the parity decryptor. Because it gives good modifiers. So we are gonna use the parity decryptor. So we have a ME3TE2 blueprint. This one is actually a pretty useful tool. It's evindustry.org. I'm just gonna link it here as well. Okay, so for example, we have a engineering complex that is bonused for advanced small ship advanced medium ship construction. This would be 0.948, but it's actually 0.95 because Evindustry doesn't handle the second after the comma, but whatever. We are gonna use 23 runs because we have a 23 run blueprint copy. We're gonna say we're gonna build our own components. So what we will need is all this stuff down here. Up. This is what we need to build 23 Lokis. So if you look at this, we realize we have 4.5 billion is for selling the Lokis, while 3.72 billion is for buying the Loki, for building the Lokis. So this does take into account some stuff. This also shows you the basic idea here, by the way. So it's like, let's go with this, and we say we have 656 million is profit. So where is the problem? The problem is, first I forgot something, because it's only 95, so we still make a bit more money. We actually do like 180 million more ISK. There's a problem, it's installation cost. If I'm going to do that in 04 Tech, because that's our industry part now, 04 Tech IQM, this is gonna be a bit cheaper because the industry indexes are still pretty much zero there. So we have a 900 million ISK profit, 907 million ISK profit. So what we're gonna take into account is the fact that this has a huge investment, because this investment is a 3.6 billion investment, and we have something we didn't take into account yet. Toxic, I'll just go over the T3C BPC in a second again. So there we go. We didn't take one thing into account yet. And if I don't fuck up, I can somehow manage to show this. It's a bit annoying because my push to talk key is on the forward key on my mouse, so there we go. Let's assume I have the perfect skills for it: sleep encryption methods 5, plasma physics 5, and mechanical engineering 5. This would mean I would have a around about 60% chance of actually getting this. So we're gonna go and see what the hull sections cost, the intact hull sections. Give me a second, I'll just add that. So we're gonna need like 2 intact hull sections for that, because we have a chance that is around about 50% for that. So we're gonna need 2 intact hull sections. We're gonna need 6 of the data cores. Give me a second, I'll just check which they are. It's plasma physics and mechanical engineering. and then we're gonna need 2 parity decryptors. So there we go. We have the intake hull sections. They are 17 million each, 17.5 million each. So we have 35 million for paying for that. So we have a all-over price of like 3.57 billion ISK and a turnover of 4.48 billion. So it's like around about 850, 900 million. It's actually more like 800 million, I'd say, because you have a lot of taxes there. You're gonna pay a lot of market tax if you sell them. Actually, Lokis are pretty expensive right now. I didn't expect that. Give me a moment. And the Tangos are a lot cheaper right now, so the markups on the markups you're gonna get on the Tangos are pretty much a lot lower. I don't know why Lokis are so expensive. Probably someone just stocking up for a Loki doctrine or something. If we're running Tangos, we're gonna make only like 100 million less. So toxic to topic, how to create the Loki or the T3C blueprint again. If you're gonna create a T3 blueprint, for example, we're just gonna do the hull now.
Hey, wake up!
Shut up, TeamSpeak. If we are doing the T3C subsystems, we're gonna do a similar thing, but for now, I'm just gonna go over the Loki itself. The subsystems do work the same way, they just need a different relic here, a different acid relic. So, what you're gonna do is you're gonna check out the description of this thing. You're gonna show the info. And there it says possible outcome options. It's a Tango, Legion, Proteus, or Loki blueprint. So you're gonna put in a hull section, intake hull section. You're gonna put in a plasma physics and a mechanical 3 plasma physics and mechanical engineering data cores. Gonna put in in my case, a parity decryptor. It's a bit of a personal preference, but you can fiddle around with them. I found out the parity decryptor fits my needs the best. Let's see, yeah, I can get rid of this graphical bug here. So that's the creation of a T3C blueprint. The same works with the other sections. Give me a second. If we go with the intake thruster sections, for example, we can click here and see we're gonna get a lot of stuff here. For example, we could say we're gonna want to make a Loki propulsion interdiction nullifier blueprint, and it will give us a 20 run blueprint, same as the T3C itself. Gonna use a parity decryptor again, same with the 3 data cores. In this case, you're gonna need 3 propulsion subsystem engineering cores and 3 rocket science cores. Yeah, that's the basic idea of it. Everyone clear on that, or any questions on that? Okay, so now I'm gonna go about some other stuff that is really fucking expensive. So, the first thing you will see that is pretty expensive, I already mentioned it. It's one of my favorite things to do in EVE actually. It's capital production, which means you're gonna build freighters, which are semi-capital ships. They are officially capital ships, but they aren't. You know, the thing is, a freighter will be built on a large EC, but it's considered a capital ship anyway, which is a pretty bullshit thing in my opinion, but you can't change that. Yeah, it's 2 sets of 3 data cores plus 1 decryptor for every try you're gonna do on that, and one of those sections, because the sections they will go and die after you try to create a blueprint out of it. Same thing with T3Ds. Yes, the T3Ds, they are made out of the small hull sections. I would always recommend going with the intact sections in case if you are not really going to challenge your luck and trying to like make the most ISK out of the most luck you can get, but you can make a lot of ISK out of it, but you can lose a lot of ISK doing it because it's all random generate. It's all RNG, and you know, RNG is sometimes a bit scary. So, for capitals, there are a few types of capitals. The first type being the freighters and the orca. The orca isn't really used in nullsec for reasons that are not that bad. I would recommend to use them if you're not like very suicidal, because those things are a great target for gankers. They love to gank orcas because they are a giant floating kill mail. If you're not definitely pro, I wouldn't consider myself a pro, so I also lost the orca at some point. My advice: don't use them in nullsec. Their place is in highsec. So yeah, nullsec you can use a porpoise. It's much cheaper and it basically serves the same thing. The second thing that is falling under this category is the freighter. Those two ships, they are well, how do I call it? Those two ships, the ship types, I have to say, because the freighters, they are different in four freighters. It's the Amar Providence, it's the Galanti Obelisk, the Calgary Charon, and the Minmethod Fenrir. The most used one in nullsec is the Charon, because you're not gonna gate this thing. You're just gonna use the thing to warp from one tether to the next tether to be safe. It works pretty fine. The Charon has the biggest cargo hold, that's why people use the Charon. There are reasons to use other freighters in highsec and lowsec or whatever, because you're not gonna use a normal freighter in lowsec. But in highsec you are gonna use the normal freighters for other reasons. For example, the Providence has a pretty good tank and a pretty decent line time, but a shit cargo hold. Yeah, stuff like that. You basically want to choose the freighter you like, but it's a personal preference, in my opinion. So for freighters, they are being built out of 4 capital components, out of the armor plates, out of the propulsion engines, cargo base, and I forgot the last one. Propulsion engines, cargo base, armor plates, and capital construction parts. Yeah, they changed the tether this patch. I'll go over that in a second. The bowhead is built out of some more stuff. It's also highsec capable, which means it is also built in a large EC. All the other combat capitals, so all the combat capitals plus the orca, they are built in the capital construction EC with capital construction bonuses. And the largest ones, so the Titans and the super carriers, they are gonna be built in a Sotio with super capital bonuses and a super capital shipyard. For whoever, Chris, you asked about the change of the tether. The tether change only affects ships jump capable ships, which means every jump capable ship is gonna jump to a station or citadel, and it's gonna be untethered for 30 seconds, which gives enemies the opportunity to actually tackle them before they can dock up, or actually tackle them before they can tether up on a Astrahus, for example. If you're jumping a combat capital to an Astrahus, you're gonna basically use those guys for this mechanic is basically just for the combat capital. It's relevant because jump freighters are just gonna dock up instantly after they jumped. Combat capitals, they can't dock up in Astrahus and Ritarus, so you're not gonna be able to do that anymore. So the only way you have is to either jump to a fort or a station or a keepstar, or you can jump to a Ritaru or Astrahus, risk getting caught there and safe lock after that, but I wouldn't recommend that. That's pretty risky. So that much for tether changes. For the combat capitals, you're gonna need a capital shipyard installed in an in a Fortizar, Keepstar, Asbel or Sotio. Asbel and Sotio are the preferred ones because they are the ECs. They give the 1% material bonus. and they're actually cheaper than the bigger brothers. So if you have a capital, let's say I'm just gonna see. For example, I'm gonna go with the Rockwell. The Rockwell, for example, needs a lot of materials. Here you see all those capital components. They are all made of minerals. The blueprints are like 1 billion each. The blueprint originals, but who cares? The capital clone bay, the capital clone vet bay is only used for Rockwells and Titans. All the other stuff is also used in carriers and or dreadnoughts, because dreadnoughts they don't need a drone bay. Instead of that, they have the turret hardpoint and siege arrays. But whatever, that's all blueprint originals you can get blueprint copies from, and so on. Yeah, it is the same way to get T3D BPCs, just like the T3C BPCs. You only need to use the small intact hull sections or the small hull sections in general instead of the normal hull sections. They're slightly more expensive. They are 60 mil each or something. So you're gonna have a lot smaller margin, but the margin is still there, so don't worry about that. Okay, that's the next point. That was the capital production. Super capitals, they are pretty much the same as capitals, but they just require ridiculous amounts of components, and they will require a super capital shipyard to be installed in this OTO you're building in. You can only build super capitals, so super carriers and titans in this OTO. You can build the normal combat capitals in an Asbel. So yeah. The next part is the citadel and structure production. Structures in general can be built, so any structures that are not citadels can be built in any engineering complex from the Writer up to the Sotio. The only problem is that the bigger ones, the bigger friends, so the citadels, can only build in one structure smaller. Which means if you're building a Asteros, you can build it in any citadel. If you're building a Fortizar, you can still build it in any citadel. If you're building a Keepstar or a Sotio, you have to build it in an Asbel. If you're building a Sotio, you have to build it in an Asbel as well. You can't build the X large ones in the small ECs or in the medium ECs because it just doesn't work. They don't fit in there. So that much for that. Caps can be built in an Asbel into the Sotio. Super capitals can only be built in the Sotio because the Sotio is the X large EC. It's the only one who has which has a super capital undocking bay. Also keep in mind, if you're in an Asbel, you're gonna undock in the Togger, for example, so a carrier, any capital ship in general, from an Asbel, you're not gonna be able to dock it again, because the Asbel has a capital dock, but it doesn't have a so it has a capital dock, which means you can undock, but it doesn't have a capital docking whatever thingy. So the same goes for super capitals and Sotios. You can undock a super capital from a Sotio, but you can't dock it there again. So is that clear? Okay, no questions. So the last thing I'm gonna go over is, what do we have in infrastructure in Horde space? So give me a little moment, because I don't know. Tranquility is back up. Yay! Okay, I'm just gonna switch to Tranquility really quick, and I'm gonna show you the infrastructure there. So, give me a second. There we go. So that one's being my main industry alt now. I'm currently in the invention complex in O4 Tech. O4 Tech is our main industry hub now, which means it's basically the area we're building everything in. So you see I have a lot of data cores and any kind of decryptors here. I don't have my blueprint copies here yet, because I didn't move them yet, because I didn't have the time for it yet. But, you know, here you see I have a bunch of wrecked stuff. At some point I acquired that via wormholing myself. So I'm gonna just open up my industry window and let's check what we have here. So the different industry stuff we have here, actually this is what it looks like when the ship is ready to do. So I have one in the facility in OTEC V and the NBI handouts. Just gonna deliver that thing. It's a Blackbird blueprint copy. This blueprint copy is now gone because it was a 10 run blueprint copy, so it shows -1 runs now because it doesn't exist anymore. Here you can see I have a freighter in build currently, and I got a bunch of capitals in build here, and I got a bunch of reactions here. I got a bunch of more capitals down there, and yeah, some stuff. So, for example, I'm just gonna go over this. So now we have facilities. There we go. Just gonna show them 10 jumps from here because the rest isn't there. So there we go. We have the Invention AC and the Sotio, the industry park here. And the Sotio can basically build anything. This thing is rigged for anything and everything you can imagine. The only thing it doesn't have is a super capital shipyard. Yes, capital BPOs are a thing. Give me a second. I think I have it here. No, not on this chart. I have it on my other charts, or actually on one of my charts. That's not my old corp. There's a they have a Tatara blueprint original, just copying, some stuff. Also, I have like, I think, are there any in research on this thing? Yeah, there we go. For example, we have the Capital Drone Bay, blueprint original there. This one is just researching to level 5, to level 10, sorry. To material efficiency level 10. So yeah, I'm just building up my blueprint original stash here a bit. So yeah, just want to clear that thing real quick. Okay, so the next thing is the Tatara. Here we have reactions T1 rigged, not T2 rigged, because the only T2 rigged one we have is an NQ Tech right now. It's only T1 rigged, but it's enough. The reason why the T2 rig Tatara is an NQ Tech is very simple, because the Tatara is in direct jump range from Jita. So if you have a jump freighter with jump drift calibration 5, you can directly jump from Jita to NQ Tech, which saves a lot of fuel cost on that way. Also, we got the station here, which won't be used really much because stations have a ship bonus. We got the research Asbel in O4 Tech, and that's the industry park we have in O4 Tech. That's pretty much all you can wish about. The only thing is that it's not in the staging, which means you will have a hard time moving your stuff out there. So if we have the next ones, we will have one in 6L8 and 6L7, one in LX Tech. We have research Retarus, which are just for researching stuff. Then we have in LX Tech another, in Y8R we have another station that won't be used too much. Wait a second, that's not ours. I'm not gonna go over this because you don't use the stuff that is not ours. You probably can't, but whatever. Is it? Okay, you probably can, because in Y8R there is a SOTO as well. This one is the one of Alexander McCohen. No one can use that except from Mystics of Astor, because that one is a private SOTO, which is pretty insane. That guy's building Superstar. Okay, then we have the MBI handouts and EC large, medium, small ships. You can build any T1 ships there, but it has a pretty high cost index. There we have a 5.3% cost index. This means you're gonna pay 5.3% of the price of the ships just for installing that shit. Same goes for the modules. We have a module EC there. I would recommend building modules in 04 Tech now, because modules aren't that bulky. You can just easily move them. Then we have OTEC V, the research complex, for researching stuff. Obviously, we have 4V in the research shit for researching stuff as well, and copying as well. Yeah, copying as well. There we go. I think that's pretty much it. We have the We have the capital stuff in 3SFU, which means we have an ASBL in 3SFU, which has the bonuses to capitals and large ships. That's pretty much our industry pack we have right now. It's gonna get more. Not yet, but soon. TM? I don't know. It was announced that it will get more. A bit. A slight bit. I think a slight bit is still in planning. It's not set up everything. But whatever. So that's the industry pack we have in Horde. That's pretty much it for the class. I will show you one thing before I finish this up. And this one will be my spreadsheet. I'm gonna give it to you as well. There we go. This little friend here, this little sneaky friend that has a lot of stuff in it, is my production spreadsheet. I'm just gonna enable you to use it as well in a moment, but before that, I actually just copy it here. There we go. This will be the spreadsheet. You can make a copy of it if you want and use it yourself. You have the systems we currently have here. For example, we have the 04 Tech QM, which is our industry pack now. So if I want to build a charbon in 04 Tech, where the ME, the material efficiency of my blueprint is 8, the quantity of it is 1, so I'm building 1. All of my capital parts are material efficiency 10. I have 13 of those. I need 13 of those, 93 of those, 45 of those, 10 of those. This is the amount of ores I'm gonna need for this. This does mean if you want to build a Charon, you can buy this stuff, you can ship it in from Jita, and you have all your ores from Jita. You can reprocess it with the settings. You have the settings here. Here you can enter what your skill levels for reprocessing are. That's actually my skill set I have currently. If you have if you are going for all 5, if you're using Kenshot specs or something for reprocessing, you can just set all of this to 5. I'm just gonna set all of this to 5. And ice as well. So so it doesn't mess around. So there you see, this is what you're gonna need if you want to build a Charon there. This is the value of the ores. It will add the value of the shipping, which means it's 37.77 million shipping cost. Plus you're gonna need 6.2 million ISK for installation roundabout. This is just a raw estimate for capital because I have to use this 0.8 factor because it's pretty hard to estimate the value of the installation cost of all these armor plates. Also keep in mind, if you're building multiple capitals at the same time, you might push the industry index yourself, so you might cut your margins. So just imagine we are doing all this. We are going with 440 ISK per cubic meter, 2% shipment cost, collateral cost. You're gonna do a profit of 194 million ISK. So if I go with my own cost, because that's what I'm paying when I'm shipping it myself, I'm gonna do 217.9 million ISK by building a freighter. This takes me around 1.5 days on 10 slots and another 4 days on 1 slot. So around, I would say 14 slot days, roundabout 14 to 16 slot days, rather than 20 slot days. Let's just say 20 slot days, which means I have a profit margin of 10%, which would be 110 million ISK, plus the rest. So I have another 107 million through 10, so I have 5 million per slot per day, which is pretty okay. It's 5 million per slot day. That's a good price. That's basically the price you want to aim for. That gets a bit messy if you are running, how do I call it? If you're running higher on the cost index here. Also, just update the market buffer sometimes, because this changes the best ore at some point. Just gonna see what do we have here. There we go. It changed up the triclinic booster from monoclinic to triclinic, for example. So yeah. This is the part of my spreadsheet. If you have more questions about it, just feel free to PM me on Discord about it. Or just ask them now. I can probably answer them because I built a spreadsheet. So that will be it for the class today. Any questions? Anything I didn't cover yet? Anything you still want to know? Nothing. That's great. I love this. Okay, then I'll conclude this class for this. I'm just gonna reset the stream so I can cut that into 2 parts without having to fiddle around with the VOD stuff of Twitch, whatever.